What is up, everybody? Louie back here again. We got a really fun night of fights here. Big matchup at lightweight, 155 pounds. Number 6, Rafael FIZIEV taking on number 7, GAMROT. 155 is in an interesting place. Both of these guys got knocked off the pedestal a little bit, but they're trying to get on the comeback. You got Charles Oliveira fighting Islam again for the rematch for the title. Justin Gaethje just got 2 wins in a row. Dustin Poirier is coming off a loss. So whoever wins this fight is not going to get a title shot right away. But if they have an impressive performance, they can be in a prime position to have a huge fight, possibly get the title. And besides all that, it's just going to be a fun fight. Both guys like to scrap. GAMROT, solid wrestler. Rafael FIZIEV, dangerous striker, classic matchup. And then at featherweight, you got another fun matchup, one that's important for the rankings, important for each of their careers. You got number 10, Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell, trying to get back on a win, taking on number 12, Dan 50K Ige, who's on a little bit of a resurgence here. Both guys need to get a win to possibly get into the title picture. They'll still be a couple fights away, but 145, Volkanovski can't fight forever. He might go up to 155. Calvin Kattar's been out for a while. How much longer is Max Holloway going to do this at 145? You want to win as many fights in a row as you can at 145, so it's a big one for each of them. And an impressive win, preferably a finish, could get them a prime spot. Should be fun. And then women's strawweight, you got Marina Rodriguez taking on Michelle Waterson. Both ladies. Michelle Waterson right at the end of the rankings, and Marina Rodriguez got knocked out of the top 5. Both looking to get a win here on the comeback. Is it Michelle Waterson's last fight? Maybe. If Marina Rodriguez doesn't win this one, then she probably will never get a title shot, to be honest. You got Brian Battle coming back. Excited to see him. Pooh Bear. Should be a fun one. He's showing some promise. And then you got Tim Means and Andre FIALHO going against each other at welterweight, and they both really need a win. Could be explosive fireworks, though, so I'm excited, but both guys kind of fighting out of desperation. And then you got Muhammad Usman taking on COLLIER, a low-level slot-fest banger that I can't wait. We'll see if Muhammad Usman can make a run here at heavyweight. Horrible week last weekend. Let's just get right into it. First fight of the night, 135 pounds, women's bantamweight. Tamiris Vidal taking on Montserrat Rendon. Vidal took on Ramona Pascual her last fight. In the first round, she kind of presses with some body kicks. She kind of wings some hooks. But then she eats a couple counter hooks, and she's able to get the single to the fence. But she throws an naked inside leg kick, eats a jab for it. Then she lands a jump knee to the body out of nowhere, gets a knockout. So, and then Montserrat Rendon, she took on Brittany Cloudy her last fight outside of the UFC. In the first round, she presses for some jabs, gets some feelers. But then she gets pressed with a couple crosses back, and then she lunges forward and gets the clinch. Like, she will really lunge forward for that clinch. And then in the second round, she doesn't press as much. But she gets pressed with the straight right. But then she gets pressed with a couple 1-2s. But she's able to walk through her jab. But then she eats a knee to the body. And she's not able to keep her off her with her jab. But then she looks for the overhand rights whenever she gets pressed. Then in the third round, she eats some straight rights whenever she's stepping forward to throw her jab. But then she's able to get another lunge clinch to the fence. But then she's able to get around her back. Can't do much with it, though. Can't get mat return. But then she's right at the end there. She's able to just dive in for the clinch and get a trip kind of out of nowhere. So, yeah. I don't know. She didn't really do much besides clinch, if I'm being honest. Montserrat Rendon, plus 190. Tamiris Vidal, minus 230. I'm going to go with Tamiris Vidal. I don't like the price. Probably not going to bet on this fight. But Montserrat Rendon did not do much at all. And she ate a lot of strikes. And all she does is clinch. So I'm going to go with Tamiris. We'll see, though. Second fight of the night, 115 pounds, women's strawweight. Mizuki Inoue coming off a 3-year long layoff, taking on Hannah Goldy. Both ladies need a win here, so should be interesting. Inoue took on Amanda Lemos back in 2020. In the first round, she pressures, gets a clinch to the fence, gets that underhook, but then she eats a counter hook combo off of her straight shots. But then she pressures in the pocket up against the fence, but then she gets dropped with an overhand, just coming in a little recklessly, hands down. Then in the second round, she's able to land some overhands, gets right into the clinch. Then she's able to land some knees and some body shots. She tries to go for the underhook hip toss, but she gets reversed with a single leg trip off of that. Then in the third round, she's able to get another underhook clinch. She tries to go for the single, not able to complete it, but then she walks into some overhands, but she's able to get the clinch, but then she gets pulled down into a tie clinch. She needs a couple knees for her troubles, but, you know, gave Lamos a competitive fight. Then Hannah Goldy took on Molly McCann her last fight in London over a year ago. In the first round, she has her hands down, and she gets her hands down like right by her sides pretty much, or she's kind of coming in like this, trying to look for like a big power shot or something. But then she gets pressed with some overhands, but she's able to shoot to the fence and get the clinch with the underhook, but doesn't really do much with it, just kind of muscles her around a little bit. She's able to grab the single, but then she eats a couple hooks whenever she goes for it, and then she gets pressured and she eats a back elbow and a flurry up against the fence. So, I don't know. She kind of walked into that spinning attack, so... yeah, Hannah Goldy plus 260, Mizuki Inoue minus 325. I don't like the 3-year-long layoff, so, but I don't want to lose money on women's fights again and get the wrong prediction. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Inoue, but put your money on Hannah Goldy if you're gonna put your money on this fight. But I'm gonna go with Mizuki Inoue. I just can't bet on Hannah Goldy. I don't think she has anything past the first round. So I'm gonna go with Inoue, but do not put any money on her. Third fight of the night, 265 pounds, men's heavyweight. We got a fun slot fest here. Actually, it's either gonna be really fun or really boring, but it could be really fun. Muhammad Usman taking on Jake Collier. Muhammad Usman took on Junior Tafa's last fight. In the first round, he gets an underhook clinch up to the fence, shoots the single, and then he lifts it. But then he gets back to the clinch. Then he gets clipped with a couple hooks off the break, and he walks into an elbow, but then he just shoots and tries to break up the rhythm of Tafa. So that was good. He knows to break up the rhythm and doesn't let Tafa land some big shots. Then in the second round, he gets a single to the fence, but then he switches off to the double. He's able to finish it, gets right into half guard, doesn't do a whole lot with it, but he does enough. And then in the third round, he's able to duck under the hooks, and he lands some the hooks and the overhands. He's able to get the snatch single. He's able to get that underhook up in the clinch. And then he's able to complete the single leg off the fence and get right into half guard and just stays busy enough to not get pulled off. That's all you can ask for. And then Jake Collier took on Martin Budai's last fight. In the first round, he slips and he lands a counter 1-2 and then an overhand left hook combo off the fence. And he presses forward with some jabs, and then he rips a hook to the body. But then he pushes him down with the jab off of a leg kick, and he's able to get it on his back toward the end. Doesn't do a whole lot with it, though. Then in the second round, he jabs to the clinch up against the fence. He's able to get some underhooks and a tie clinch. But then he gets clipped with a couple hooks and some knees inside the clinch. Then in the third round, he's able to get another underhook and a tie clinch, but then he gets clipped with a couple short hooks to the head and the body whenever he's walking forward, and you can tell he's a lot tired. Defense drops a little bit. His clinch attempt gets stuffed with an overhook, and he gives up his back. He tries to go for a trip, and he just kind of falls on his face, basically, and gives up his back toward the end and gives up some ground and pound, and that was a crucial round for him, so it was a tough scene. Jake Collier plus 115, Muhammad Usman minus 135. I want to bet on Jake Collier, but yeah, I think he's a better fighter, but he doesn't do well toward the end of the fight, and I feel like Muhammad Usman just does just enough. And Muhammad Usman has power, although he doesn't land it a whole lot. Jake Collier doesn't really have a ton of power, but he does have faster hands. And yeah, it's a tough one. I'm going to go with Muhammad Usman just because I feel like he's going to win somehow. I don't know why, but, you know, if Kamaru Usman's in his corner, I think that will help. Minus 135, not too bad. I'll go with the over on this fight, obviously, but I'm going to go with Muhammad Usman. Probably a stupid pick. I wouldn't blame you if you bet on Jake, but I'm going to go with Muhammad Usman on this one. Let's see. Third fight of the night, Grapplers Delight at 185. Men's middleweight, Jacob Malkoun taking on Cody Brundage. Cody Brundage severely needs a win in this fight. And Jacob Malkoun, if he can get another win, you know, just racks him up. Jacob Malkoun took on Nick Maximov his last fight. In the first round, he gets rocked with a long hook off of level change. But then he's able to shoot the single to break it up. But then he gives the high C to the fence. Gets that inside trip takedown he likes to do so much. Keeps him down, doesn't do a whole lot with it. But then he cuts him off, lands a couple right crosses toward the end. Then in the second round, high C steps in. and gets the inside trip off the fence right into half guard. Lands some ground and pound, not a ton, but then he lands some jabs with some right crosses up against the fence. Then in the third round, he shoots the high single with the head outside trip, inside trip, and or high C, whatever. And then he's able to just do his thing down in the bottom. So yeah. And then Cody Brundage, he took on Cedric Dumas' last fight in the first round. He shoots a blast double. And then he jumps the guillotine, misses, doesn't get it. He tries to go for the armbar, then he's able to grab the single, and he's able to reverse, but then he pulls a guillotine again, even though he just got top position, and he doesn't get it. Then in the second round, he feints the hook, and he shoots an extended single, but he gets reversed, gives up his back. Then in the third round, he lands a jab, and then a double off the fence, and then he jumps guillotine again, and he doesn't get it. So he's just making horrible life decisions. And then Cody Brundage is plus 410. Jacob Malkoun minus 550. I'm going with Jacob Malkoun. Cody Brundage, I don't think he has much after the first round. And Jacob Malkoun, he might take a couple shots early on, but he has a solid chin. And he's going to be able to get takedowns in the second and the third round. He gets that single inside trip too many times, and that's his go-to move, and it shouldn't work for him, but it does. So he's just going to get that a bunch. And minus 550 is a lot, but Jacob Malkoun only wins by decision. Jacob Malkoun by decision, plus 120. Go with that. Jacob Malkoun. Fifth fight of the night, 170 pounds, men's welterweight. Tim Dirty Bird Means taking on Andre Fialho. Both guys need a win here, so should be fun. Tim Means took on Alex Morono. His last fight in the first round, he pressures, he looks to slip, and he's looking for the counters, but then he lands jabs to the body, and then he kind of paws with the hooks. And then he's able to land a couple overhands and then a left head kick. Then he lands some overhands whenever he gets pressed forward. But then he walks through an overhand. He's able to land a jump knee up against the fence. And they get into a firefight, and he lands a short hook and an uppercut in the pocket so he can let the hands go when the time comes. Then in the second round, he walks into a head kick and a hook combination, though. But then he clips him with the head kick, and he throws the overhand, shoots a blast double, gets it, not able to hold him down very long. Then he eats a couple crosses standing at range. Then he shoots a double, but then he gets caught in a guillotine and gets submitted. So, competitive first round against Morono. Morono's good, and, he caught him by surprise with a submission, so... But Andre Fialho took on Joaquin Buckley his last fight in the first round. He landed straight right in the pocket, but then he gets pressed forward and but then he's able to clip him with the head kick. Then he gets doubled, but he pops right back up, so that's a good sign. Then in the second round, he lands a step in straight right. I think he's able to land a short right cross in the pocket. He misses left hook, but then he gets pressed on the inside. He eats another hook to the body. Then he just gets knocked out with the head kick at range, just kind of out of nowhere. So, didn't have his guard up. So, Andre Fialho minus 165. Tim Means plus 140. This is a tough one to call. I can see both guys getting knocked out in the first round probably. But, Tim Means, he's been fighting some pretty good guys, and he's been hanging in there. And Andre Fialho, he kind of has a glass chin. So, and Tim Means is an underdog, so I'm going to go with Tim Means. I think Fialho might be able to clip him big, put some big shots early, but I think in the second round, Tim Means will be able to do well in the pocket and possibly get a takedown or something. But I have a feeling Tim Means by knockout plus 450, not a bad play. But I'm going to go with Tim Means. I think he gets it done. The veteranship will help. Main event of the prelims, 135 pounds, men's bantamweight, Dean Argueta taking on Miles Johns, two up-and-comers. Dean Argueta took on Nick Aguirre his last fight in the first round. He clinches, then he gets a single off the fence. They get into a scramble. He tries the Kimura, but then he gives up his back, gives up the figure four position, actually. But then he's able to turn it into him, and then he's able to take his back, puts on a rear naked choke attempt. Then in the second round, he presses forward with some leg kicks. He gets a clinch up to the fence. He presses forward with some hooks. He's able to get the double off the fence. Another rear naked choke attempt with one hook. And then he follows it up with some ground and pound. So he's staying busy the whole time, even if he can't get the choke. Then in the third round, he lands some overhands against the fence. But then he eats a few counter hooks. But he's able to land an elbow. And he's able to get the double off the fence. Lands some nice ground and pound. Works into half guard. Will stack him. Just staying busy, staying active. Doesn't want to get stood up. Really good work. And then Miles Johns took on Vince Morales his last fight. In the first round, he stalks forward. He pumps some jabs, just sticks him out for some feelers. Then he gets touched with a jab, but he's able to. Then he throws an overhand, and then a leg kick. And then he lands a hook to the body, and then he's able to, which sticks him right in the body. But then he eats a left hook inside the pocket. Whenever they get to a hook exchange, But then in the second round, he's able to land some lunge jabs from range, and he's able to get the snatch single off the fence right at the end of the round. Don't know how much it does for him. Then in the third round, he presses forward some jabs and some crosses, but then he eats a couple body kicks whenever he's coming in. Then he's able to get the single up to the fence and just try to win the position, I guess. So, yeah, I don't know. Miles Johns, plus 155. Dan Argueta, minus 185. I kind of like Dan Argueta. I don't love the price tag, but I think Dan Argueta's ground game is better, and I think he does more work on the ground. I think Miles Johns might have more power, but I don't really think it matters. So I'm going to go with Dan Argueta, minus 185. Don't love the price tag because both guys are unproven, but I just really like Dan Argueta's tenacity, so I'm going to go with Dan Argueta. First fight of the main card, 145 pounds, men's featherweight, Ricardo Ramos taking on Charles Air Jourdain. I hope you like violence. Ricardo Ramos took on Danny Chavez's last fight, first round, cuts off the cage, spinning elbow, knockout, not much to talk about. But before that, he had a toughie against Zubaira Tukhugov. In the first round, he walks into some short hooks and then a straight right. And then a hook up against the fence. But then he's able to rock him with a counter spin elbow on the fence. Kind of changes the trajectory of the fight. Changes the momentum of it. Then in the second round, he eats a 1-2 at range. But then he's able to return with the straight right. He pumps his jabs. But then he eats a counter straight right. Some counter straight rights. But then he eats an overhand over top of his jab. And then in the third round, he's able to stuff the double. Lands a nasty knee up the middle. But then he walks through some jabs. He's able to land some lead hooks and an overhand. Followed up with some uppercuts. So he finished really strong. Didn't get the win, though. Charles Jourdain took on Kron Gracie's last fight. And I know Kron Gracie, all he does is pull guard. But I think Charles Jourdain did look new and improved after the Nathaniel Wood fight. So in the first round, he lands a 2-1, 3-4-2 combination. And then he lands an uppercut whenever he gets pressed. And then he'll kind of circle out. Then in the second round, he doesn't land. He gets the takedown. Kron Gracie pulls guard. And Charles doesn't land a ton of ground and pound. But he maintains solid top position. Then back on feet, he lands a straight and an uppercut combination, and he throws a lead uppercut, and he's able to land some elbows in the clinch. But then he gets clipped with a counter hook off of his wide shots. Just starts winging things a little bit. But then in the third round, he lands a jab, and then an uppercut, and then a jab combination. Then he's able to rip the body in the pocket, then he'll kind of circle out, and then he lands some double jabs, rips the body again, and just, kind of stays at distance and just picks his shots and lands them. Started to turn up at the end. Looked pretty good. Charles Jourdain, minus 145. Ricardo Ramos, plus 120. Just a tough one. I like Charles Jourdain, but I'm counting on that he's making improvements. And Ricardo Ramos, is powerful, but I don't know how long in a fight he can maintain the pace for. Charles Jourdain can keep a heck of a pace. I'm gonna go with Charles Jourdain. I think he doesn't have the most powerful striking, but I think he might have cleaner technique. He might be faster. He might be able to get a foot sweep here or there, get on top when he needs to. It's a close one. I wish it was even money, but I'm going to go with Charles Jourdain. I believe in it. Second fight of the main card, 170 pounds, men's welterweight. I hope you like violence. Brian Pooh Bear Battle taking on AJ Fletcher. Brian took on Gabe Green his last fight, and Gabe Green initiates a firefight up against the fence, and Brian just lands a right hook and gets a massive knockout. But before that, he took on Redenoff, and it was a tough one. And he's basically taken down the whole fight. First round, doubled off the fence. Then in the second round, he eats a jab off the body kick. Then he gets doubled off the fence, gives up his back, but he's able to get to his feet. Tries for the ninja choke, can't get it though, but at least he's trying things. Then in the third round, he throws a straight. And then he's able to land a leg kick, but then he gets dropped with a straight right, kind of throws a naked leg kick. And whatever. But he just got a knockout over Gabe Green, which isn't easy to do. And then AJ Fletcher took on Themba Gorimbo his last fight. In the first round, he gets doubled whenever he throws a hook. He gives up his back with one hook, but then he's able to buck him off, gets 2-on-1, and kind of shucks him off. And then he's able to get him out. So then in the second round, he hips in on a single, feeds him his hips, and then get into a scramble. Tries for the guillotine, but then he gives up his back with one hook again. But he's able to get him off there again. And then he's able to get up, and he lands an elbow in the clinch. Then he pulls guillotine, gets a submission. So guy's explosive, and he can submit people. So, yeah. AJ Fletcher, plus 155. Brian Battle, minus 185. yeah, I don't like this line at all, but I don't know. I think Bryan Battle's striking is more clean. I think AJ Fletcher hits harder. I don't think AJ Fletcher's going to be able to take him down, though. I don't know. It's a toss-up. It's like whoever you like, but I just don't feel... I should bet on AJ Fletcher because of the underdog money. I just don't feel good enough about it. And I think Bryan Battle might have had... He fought Renat, you know, and Renat knocked out Kevin Lee. And Bryan was, you know, he got beat up, but he was in, like, he stayed in the fight. And he was tough, you know. And he didn't get finished. So I think that can only make you better. I'm going to go with Bryan Battle, minus 185. Don't have a good reason. I just feel like he's going to get it done. I think he'll be faster. How about that one? Third fight of the night, 115 pounds. Women's strawweight, the feature fight. Marina Rodriguez taking on Michelle Waterson. Both ladies need a win if they want to get anywhere near the title picture, if they want to get back in the title picture. Marina Rodriguez has had an unfortunate fall from grace, but if she can get a finish, you know, her name's going to be up in there in the mix again. And Michelle Waterson, this is probably going to be her retirement fight regardless. So, looking for a win. Marina took on Virna Jandiroba her last fight in the first round. She gets doubled whenever she throws a leg kick. It's put in a Kimura. Then in the second round, she's able to stuff the low single, but then she gets hip tossed off the fence. Then in the third round, she lands a lunge 1-2, but then she needs an overhand over top of her jab, but then she's able to return with a straight blitz. Then she lands a nice jump knee. But then she gets singled to the fence and then gets taken down with it eventually. And her defense isn't great, so... Michelle Waterson took on Luana Pinheiro her last fight. In the first round, she lands a spinning elbow. And then she throws out some front kicks and some head kicks and some side kicks. But then she pushes her down with the front kick to the body. But then she eats an overhand off of her front kick. Then the second round, she lands a right cross off of the front kick. And then she lands a front face kick. Really nice. But then she eats a hook whenever she misses the front face kick. Then she lands a jab and then a lunge overhand. Counter off the hook. Then in the third round, she gets a high C, runs the pipe, gets around the back, standing up against the fence, but then she gets reversed in the clinch. Then in the third round, she lands a side kick, and then she gets back to that high C later on. Can't really do much with it, though. But yeah, those kicks, you know, worked well for her. She didn't have enough of them. And she ate some of the bigger shots in the pocket. Michelle Waterson, plus 250. Marina Rodriguez, minus 310. I'm going to go with Michelle Waterson, plus 250. Let's have some fun. I'm not betting minus 310 on Marina Rodriguez. I'm just not going to do it, okay? And Michelle Waterson, she's got some nasty kicks. She can wrestle a little bit, so, you know, she might win. You know, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to stick with it. Michelle Waterson, plus 250. Let's have fun. Co-main event of the evening, 145 pounds, men's featherweight, Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell, number 10, taking on number 12, Dan 50K Ige. Both guys need a win. Both guys want one more run at a title contention. Bryce Mitchell needs a win. Dan Ige wants to keep the momentum alive. Dan Ige can crack. Bryce Mitchell can submit people. Should be violent. Bryce Mitchell took on Ilya Topuria his last fight in the first round. He eats an overhand off of his front kick, and then he eats a cross at range, followed up with a jab. But then he feints the hooks. He clips him with the head kick, and then he shoots a single, gets stuffed out. But then he lands a short right whenever he gets pressed. Shoots a single to the fence, but then he lands a 1-2 to a high C. Crack down, gets a takedown, doesn't do much with it, but keeps it competitive. Then in the second round, he starts pressing more, and he starts shooting some singles and some doubles, but they get stuffed. Then he ducks the hook, and then he kind of circles out, and then he lands a cross and a 1-2 head kick. But then he eats an uppercut and an overhand right off of his jab, gets dropped off of that. But then he gets pancaked and gets put in an arm triangle, gets submitted. Tough one, man. Dan Ige took on Nate Landwehr his last fight in the first round. He keeps the high guard and he'll rip the body whenever Nate comes in. Then he lands just straight to the body and then a left hook upstairs to the head. And then he steps in the pocket, he throws a hook, lands a hook, and then he eats a flurry, but then he covers. And then he eats a jab off his hook, but they don't really get through. Then he's able to drop him with a lead left hook right at the end of the round. Then in the second round, he eats head knee to the head off of his hook. Then he lands some, like, presses jabs to the fence, and he lands a 1-2. But then he eats a counter hook inside the pocket. But then he lands a left to the body in the head, that double left hook. But then he drops him with the counter left hook off the jab right at the end there, and tries to finish him, but the short time. Then in the third round, kind of slows down this round. Then he lands a left cross in the pocket, lands a couple jabs in the pocket exchanges. Then he eats an elbow in the clinch, but he's able to stuff the single, and then arm drag into the front head. So, yeah, he did okay. He can stop some wrestling. But, yeah, Dan Ige, plus 170. Bryce Mitchell, minus 205. Tough one, interesting matchup. Bryce Mitchell, you know, got ran through by Topuria, but, I mean, he was pretty competitive. More competitive than people gave him credit for. And he just kind of slows down out of nowhere in that second round of the fight. And I thought he was doing well, and he was changing the pace of the fight by shooting those takedowns. And then Dean Ige, you know, his weakness has just always been wrestling pretty much. Nate Lambert, not really a wrestler. He did defend all his takedowns, but I don't know how much that's saying. But, yeah, I mean, he just low activity for Dean Ige, you know. But it's just going to come down to the wrestling, basically. Bryce Mitchell, not the best, like, offensive wrestler. He needs to, like, chain attacks together, kind of shoot sloppy shots sometimes. So it should be interesting. I think it comes down to how many big shots can Dean Ige land. And then what's Dean Ige look like in the third round? He did get a little tired against Nate Landwehr, and he kind of let Landwehr lead the dance a little bit in that round. So, minus 205. I've always been a big Bryce Mitchell believer. I think he can get it done. I don't like his price, but I think he gets it. I don't think there's going to be any finishes. I think it's going to be a competitive fight. You know, this might come back to bite me, but I'm going to bet Bryce Mitchell. I think he gets it done. I think he gets the majority of he wins the majority of the rounds with the ground control. Might have a couple sub attempts, who knows, maybe some ground and pound, but it's going to be a battle. I'm going to go with Bryce Mitchell. We'll see what happens. Main event of the evening at 155 pounds, men's lightweight, number 6, Rafael FIZIEV, taking on number 7, Mateusz the GAMROT. 155, absolutely stacked. And Rafael coming off a loss to Justin Gaethje, no harm in that. Justin Gaethje might be fighting for a title soon. And then Mateusz GAMROT coming off a respectable win against Jalen Turner on short notice. So both guys, they're like a couple steps out of the title picture, but with a win here, especially an impressive one like a finish, they could be right outside the title conversation and be next up possibly. We'll see what happens with the top 5 there. So yeah, very important fight. Rafael FIZIEV really slick on the feet. Mateusz pretty good on that ground with the takedown. So, you know, classic matchup. Should be violent. I hope it is. Let's see what happens. FIZIEV took on Justin Gaethje's last fight. In the first round, he landed some leg kicks and then some hard short hooks and through some overhands. He like really sits down on his punches early. Then he lands a knee from the collar tie, but he's able to stuff the single, but then he eats an overhand, and then he lands a knee off the level change right up the middle. Then in the second round, he lands a body kick, and then he eats a hook, but he eats a hook combination off of his body kick. Doesn't have anything guarding his face, but then he eats an uppercut, and then a hook off of his body kick again. So it's something that he has a hole in. But then he kind of resets, and he steps in, lands a big left hook. Then in the third round, he lands a step-in overhand, then an uppercut, and then a knee, left, then a right hook, followed up with a front kick to the body, really getting off early. But then, as the fight goes on, Justin Gaethje establishes a jab, and he keeps like walking into those jabs. He eats a lot of them and walks into an overhand. But then he's able to land a jab and an uppercut toward the end there. But, you know, Justin just really put the volume on him, and his face was a bloody mess. So, but yeah, very competitive fight. And then Mateusz GAMROT took on Jalen Turner, his last fight. This was on short notice. In the first round, he lands an overhand to the double, and he kind of struggles to keep him down. But he's like kind of prying him off the fence, and Jalen has his back on the fence. But whenever he gets up, he keeps that body lock, so he does not let him breathe. Then he gets pressed with the hook. Then he's able to get the low single, and he's able to keep the clinch up top and the body lock up against the fence. Just stays really tight to him. Then in the second round, he lands a step-in jab and a cross, but then he gets rocked with the cross off of his level change, and then he shoots a single, it gets stuffed, and then he eats a couple body kicks, but then he's able to land a cross, but then he eats another cross in return. And you could tell, like, when Jalen landed, it kind of stung him a little bit, but he knew, like, when to back off. Then he gets a double off of the leg kick toward the end. That was a naked leg kick by Jalen, which in my opinion. Big mistake by Jalen, but Gamrot, you can't make one mistake against him. He'll get those takedowns. Then in the third round, he lands a jab and a cross in the pocket. Then he shoots the blast double. Gets the last double, and then he's able to keep the body lock again up against the fence. Then he eats a 1-2. Remember, he's just kind of circling. You can tell he's a little bit tired. Then he's able to get a body lock to the mat return, and then with like 10 seconds left, gets him out, and some couple shots of hard ground and pound. But then Jalen's able to like get his back to the fence there. So, but yeah, he ended the round emphatically. So that's what you want to do. So, Mateusz Gamrot plus 130, FIZIEV minus 155. And this is a tough one. You can honestly flip a coin on this one. It just comes down to how much ground control can Mateusz have and how good does Rafael look over 5 rounds. You know, Mateusz has gone 5 rounds before, so I think that's a huge advantage. But it's like how much can Rafael light up Mateusz on the feet? So, but if it's 5 rounds, Mateusz is an underdog, you know. It's not like Mateusz can't strike, you know. But he'll like set up his striking with like shoot a takedown and then get him reacting and then land something. So yeah, I'm just flip a coin. I'm gonna go with the underdog. I'm just gonna go with Mateusz plus 130. Not a bad play, but I could see Rafael get a knockout or something possibly. Who knows? But plus 130. I'm gonna go with Mateusz. Should be a fun fight. All right, everybody. Thanks for riding with me. Appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all that stuff. Horrible weekend last weekend, so you know. Maybe this week will be different. I hope so. I did my research, so just need to turn around. Just need to pick the right underdogs. I got decent amount of underdogs, so yeah. Let's see some upsets. Let's see some violence. And let's see some profits. Good luck, everyone.